Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. My name's Teri, and I have my good friend here, Tom, with me. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Teri. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. So Tom has a new channel. It's called Tom, Time to Transcend. And is it Tom, Time to Transcend, or just Time to Transcend?
It's Tom at Time to Transcend.
Okay, great. And so we're really excited to have you here. So Tom is my good buddy from Sedona, and we've done a couple of retreats there together. So retreats with Jeffrey and Kevin and Debbie Freebird. And then Richie was there as well. Hello, my good friend Richie. And Richie is so kind. He's saying, please subscribe to my good friend, my brother Tom. Yeah, Richie. He is about to do great things. Love that.
Richie is the best.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah. He brings everybody together in a room with a few words. Summarizes so much in a few words.
Yeah. Every time he comes in the room, I'm like, okay, we can all go home. Richie's going to take care of all of us. So, and he's like that too. He's my little brother. So, Jen, hello, beautiful Jen. How are you today? Jen B, my neighbor, and Mary Thornberry. Hello, lovely. How are you doing? Oh, yay. Annie's here too. Hey, Annie, how you doing?
Annie Bear.
Annie Bear was on Meditation Tribe yesterday with me, and then she'll be running it tomorrow.
Wow.
So streaming to both channels. But she's going to run it, and she's helping me out so I can get my other stuff done. So Barb, hello, how are you? Just saying hi to everybody, and Hope Suzanne. Hey, lady. Blessings from Arizona. Yeah. Hey, Kat. So, and you've got a big trip coming up, don't you, too?
Yes, I am so excited. I was just saying I'm pinching myself. I'm leaving on Thursday for the UK to go to Arthur Findlay College and for a trance workshop and trance healing.
Oh, Jen, you're a neighbor with Dolly, Rachel in Wisconsin. There's another Jen on here that actually lives around the corner from me. So sorry about that. So I really wanted to do this. So Arthur Findlay College is like Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
Totally. It's like this big, it looks like a castle. It's a huge country home. And it's for, what do they do there? You guys are going to do trance, healing, and trance mediumship, I think, right? Yeah. But they run the gamut: astrology, healings, all sorts of different things there.
Yeah, they also offer online classes. So I actually took a mediumship class with them a while back, and it was neat because you're part of the whole world basically there in these groups. So it'll be great.
Yeah, great. Well, and I wanted to talk about how you got here, Tom, because you're newly awakened. Well, not that new. You've been doing it for about a year, 2 years now. Yeah. And it's like, and I always tell everybody, you guys, it doesn't matter if you've been doing it for 60 years or if you woke up last week or last year. Everybody, the energy that's coming in right now, I feel like everybody's awakening so fast. Do you feel like that?
Oh, totally. It's and it's interesting as you talk to people, it's interesting how many people, once you start mentioning a few things, they're like, oh yeah, I do that. Or yeah, that's great. Tell me more about it. I had more people come to me interested about what I'm doing than people kind of not even, everybody knows something about it and they actually want to know more. So
yeah. And it's funny. I was at the neighborhood block party the other night, and somebody was mentioning that their nanny was working at the Renaissance Festival, and she was doing tarot cards. And I said, oh, I do that. And she was like, oh, she does mediumship too. And I said, yeah, so do I. She's like, what? And it was my next door neighbor, but she's really cool. She's young. So, hey, Kevin, how you doing? Kevin, the healing medium is here. or Kevin Lewis. So, and Kevin, I bet your ears are burning because we've been talking about you. And Kevin was trying to get me to go there too, and I was going to go, but my a reunion, and Richie's here too. Yeah, and I really wanted to. I've got some stuff going on here in the States that I can't, but I'll be there I think in January. I have family there, so I go over about once a year now. But when I go, I like to stay for a month, so I have to really plan it out. Anyway, but I wanted to talk about your awakening, and thank you so much for sending me the information about it. You went through something, and I think it was April 1st, 2024. You were very specific about that, which I love. And I broke down the numerology on that, and that's the number 1.
I thought about that too. I really did, because, we're in a 9-year right now.
Yeah.
And with the number, yeah. So April 1st, before that, I had a lot of things happening to me, synchronicities. And it really started when I gave up drinking, and when things just like my mind refocused itself. So anyway, April 1st, I jumped out of bed at 5:30 in the morning, and I was saying, get off Facebook, get off Facebook. And it basically was telling me, like, stop all these distractions. So I did that. And then that whole week were just one day to the next, just incredible things where I was like, is this really happening? The big thing that happened on April 2nd was a friend of mine who had passed about 11 years ago now, who we were always really close. We talked about, he always would say, oh, Tom, you need to study comparative religion. And we actually had an agreement that we were going to contact each other whenever one of us passed, but he never contacted me. So I always had dreams. I had dreams when family members would pass that weren't dreams, they were lucid dreams, but he never came to me. So on April 2nd, I was in the middle of spontaneous channeling, which I didn't know what was happening. And I looked up, it was actually in this room I'm in right now. And I looked up and I saw him sitting on a bar stool with a cigarette and a drink, just laughing at me. Like, here I am. And I looked up and I said, Alan. And then I was like shaking my head, like, is that really what I'm seeing? And I looked up again and I saw him again. And so that happened on that Tuesday. And then, it was more messages coming through. One thing led to the next. And then the big thing happened on that Thursday in this living room again, where I had my in-law family visit me in light forms in this room. Guiding me, like telling me to open the door at 3:00 in the morning, welcome them into the house. And I could hear them laughing in my head. I could hear them, thinking this was really funny. And I finally, they kept saying, trust. I said, you want me to open the door at 3:00 in the morning? I said, okay, trust us, Tom, trust us. They kept laughing. And when they came into the room, it was one by one in like little light forms that went right past me. One of them had a face in it. One of them was like this, came in kind of sideways. And I found out later from a family member that that's how he walked. So it was one. And then that led to basically them showing me how to, that healing with hands was something I needed to work on. And it was right after this experience is when I emailed back to the group, Kevin and Jeffrey and Debbie, for the first Sedona group. I said, okay, I want to do Reiki. So one thing led to another. So that's really there's lots more that happened, but those are kind of the big events.
Yeah. Well, those are pretty big deals. And yeah, Alan's right behind you today with a big hat. So it's pretty fun. I have read for you before, and Alan has come in, and I love his energy, and I love that he comes to you like this, because I can't think of a better guide that you would have a more entertaining time with on the other side.
Oh, he's known now in all the groups that I'm in. Everybody knows Alan, but there's so many things that we've done, and that's gone on since his passing, but since all this happened. And He always keeps it light. He keeps me grounded. He always tells me, Tom, you're getting too serious. In fact, my videos that I've been doing, we were talking with him and he said, I said, oh, ask Alan how he thinks my videos are. He goes, I go, are they too serious? He goes, what do you think? So he's always trying. He's always trying to make me be light and basically make everyone know that what we're doing is nothing to be scared of. You know, it's just life continues and friendships never die and life goes on. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful for, and he was actually the one that introduced me to Reiki back in the 1990s. We were doing weekends for people with AIDS and HIV.
Yeah.
He said, I said, what's Reiki? And he told me about it. And then I started, receiving Reiki. So I knew about it for all these years. So Alan has been an influence with me all along and still is around all the time.
I love that. I love that. That's just beautiful. Yeah, his energy when he comes in is very big. And it's interesting how people on the other side just get bigger, their energy. And you also mentioned that you had Robin Williams come in, and I see Robin Williams a lot too. And do you want to talk about that? Because I love that.
Yeah, that was a funny. So I was in a medium group in a practice session, and we were getting ready. And part of the session is, think of your trees growing roots into the ground. So the way it was going was really serious. And Alan was there. I could see him in my mind's eye that he was there. And all this, and I'm really serious. I'm trying to be serious, And Robin Williams jumps in and goes, look at me, I'm a tree. And he had roots growing out of his hands and his feet. And later on, working with Alan, I said, did you bring him in? He goes, no, Robin came in. And actually, back when Alan passed 10 years ago, I had a reading. And I was told that Alan and Robin were working together because they passed within a month of each other. Oh. And they both, like Alan was a chemical abuse counselor. He was and they both, ended tragically their own lives. So I feel like they've kind of been in some way together. So seeing him and he comes in a lot. Robin comes into a lot of sessions I've been in, and anybody that's done this work has had him. It's as you know how he was here, he could be in like 50 different places in 1 minute. With being over there, I think it's even more multiplied. So,
right, the energy that he showed on the screen when he was in body form, human species, and now it's just like everywhere. But yeah, I love that he comes in like that. I see him a lot with Leonardo da Vinci and Prince, which is an odd combination, but but I kind of love them. So yeah, I love that he's coming in for you too. So let's talk about Sedona a little bit. So when we're mentioning Sedona, we're mentioning a retreat that we've both been to a couple of times with Kevin Lewis, the healing medium, and Debbie Freebird and Jeffrey Peck. And it's an amazing space that we go to, Sedona in Sedona. And it's so much fun, but each one of them are so gifted with healing and intuition and mediumship. And so it's like a nucleus, I feel like, and it just expands everything that we're doing. And Richie's been there, and Annie's going to come pretty soon. I know it. And Alice has been there. There's a lot of people here that go, and JJ. Do you want to talk about that? Was that like the next catalyst for you?
Okay. So awakened, immersed, inspired.
Yeah.
So when I was recovering from surgery and quitting drinking, I was kind of watching YouTube for the first time, and I came across the video. Like, what is this? I've always wanted to go to Sedona. And I signed up for it pretty early. Actually, it was in March. And so it was just, when I got there, or when I was going there, I couldn't believe, first of all, that I was doing, like, why am I doing this? But as soon as I got there, I knew that I was with the right group, because when you're doing some of this work, sometimes, especially when you're new to it, it's like for me, I feel like I'm coming out again. I did that 30 years ago. And I'm so coming out and trying to find people that you can talk to. And I will say this, and I really mean this to Kevin and to Jeffrey and to Debbie. I'm a lifelong educator. I was a teacher for 15 years, a school administrator for 18 years. I know what good teaching is, and they are the best teachers. They have the best way to get information across. They're non-judgmental, they're accommodating, they're welcoming. And so, if anybody has an opportunity to go to an experience like that, I could just highly recommend it. So I went to the training, and one experience led to the next, just getting more in tune with myself, being able to get deeper as far as the connection goes. And then the Reiki training, which really although I was getting messages and communication with spirit, especially with Alan, after that training, my mediumship just really opened up, was able to really do a lot more. And I think it's because you're in a place where you can get centered. The environment that you're in, it's beautiful there. I mean, the center was beautiful, the whole experience. I can't say enough about it. And all the friends that we've met, I mean, like yourself, and we went to the horse ranch, and we went to visit, we were together for a period of time. And then many of us came back to Sedona again in June.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful space to be in. So, and you were lucky enough the first time to be in with JJ and Amy too, as your roommates.
yes.
Yeah,
That was great.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
I just got Amy's book today.
Did you? She sent me a picture of it. I need to contact her. Yeah. Yeah. What's the name of it again?
Actually, it's right over here. Can you give me a second?
Yeah, sure. So Amy is a friend of ours. I think she's a retired nurse, and now she does Reiki. But she's amazing, and she wrote a book. Oh yeah, thank you.
Grace.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, I like that. I like that knot on the front too. Beautiful. So, so talking about all of this, and then the elementals start coming in, right?
Mm-hmm.
The earth beings, earths and star beings, as we say.
Yes. So that happened. So with the mediumship work, you have to get yourself ready to be in the space to receive messages or connect. And so I was coming up with a pretty good way to do that, on my own. And basically any relative or friend that has passed, I've been in contact with at some point. So in the process of doing that, I always get a vision, and I would see the person kind of walking in, into the session, identifying. But this one time, I saw this person. It wasn't a person walking in, and it was a big furry person. And I was like, okay. And right away, the messages came through that he was of the light, that I shouldn't be frightened, and he gave me his name. And since then, he's been kind of a part of a lot of the work I've been doing. Like with the Reiki work, sometimes he'll come into that, or into other sessions. He's come into a class we were doing with a group of people. That's a whole nother experience, but it's really a message of that they've been here likely longer than us. Oh, yeah. They're star beings. Mm-hmm. And they are here to work with the earth. And so a lot of the message that I've gotten, along with a close friend of mine who has also received messages, that they are here with the earth changes that are happening. As anyone knows, you can just look at the news with all the earthquakes. They're working with a lot of that energy to keep the earth in line as we move through all these changes. So yeah, he's So he goes by, at least the name he gives me is Ben.
Right.
And yeah, I've had multiple experiences, and I have not physically seen him. I had an image that I did get of him, but not in a traditional way, I guess you would say. But the messages are all telepathic and come through myself as well as with some other people that I've been working with.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I always feel like when I see the hairy ones too, when I channel and go in with them, it's like their vibration is so different the way they speak to us in the telepathic way. It feels like it's a different synergy almost that's coming in than like the other beings, like the rock people or a lot of the star beings. A lot of the other star beings. So it's an interesting vibration that they bring in.
Yeah, they just come across as like they've been here. They're calm. They're calming. They come in peace. And the other thing is you have to be in the right space for them to come. That's really, and there was a period where, for whatever reason, I was kind of getting out of being in the present. And they actually said, we can't connect with you if you're not in the present. If you're always thinking about what's going to happen or what happened in the past, you have to be in that space for the connection to happen. So,
yeah. I love this. Hey, everybody. A lot of people are lurking and can't talk, but Annie says they are older brothers. I believe this. I'm very shy. So, hey, Karen, how are you? And Sharon. Yeah, I see them as being very shy and working with the tree people. Do you see that?
yes, I do. In fact, that's how we started talking about this, because they came to me and was kind of shown to me as part of like in a group of trees, as how I was able to get an image of him, but not a traditional image. And it just sort of like popped in as I was looking at a photograph. Um, it's they can blend in, and a lot of people will say that they see him behind trees, or they're very elusive, but they have a reason for that, because I think the issue is they don't want people getting in the way of their work. So by being, a large being like that, they don't want people interfering with things, because they have a job to do. At least, I don't know all the work they do, but I do know they work with the grid lines and with the earth, basically. And they're beings of peace. They're beings of light, as far as I know, and that's the messages that I've received. And they're also here to help us on our way to stay connected to the earth. Like we're part of this too. I think some of us think that we're separate, but we're all connected. And that's the important thing. That's another thing I think that people need to understand, that everything's connected at some level. Oh, I think I lost your sound.
No, I lost my sound.
Oh,
Tyler's keeping guard out here. When we're talking about the hairy ones, he's like, yeah, there he goes. So it's kind of like, I feel like they are guardians of the earth, and they show me walking inside of trees, and it feels like those trees are great conduits or vortexes for them, vortices, whatever you want to call them. Kim wants to know, what is a tree person? The trees are alive, Kim. They're just, they connect to inner earth, and they also connect to the Sky Father. And they're great conduits of going inside. And they say in the ancient times, you could have seen the trees walking. So really, really interesting energy with trees. How do you see the trees, Tom?
I see them as sentient beings, and being, everything is in motion. Everything's we think of inanimate objects. Well, a tree's alive, and they're connected. I think they connect basically to the earth and to the sky. So they're connecting both, both parts of where we are, and they also are, many of them have been around a lot longer than we have, and so when people are around, when they say they're in the forest and they're in the nature, there's a reason for that. It's because of the vibration of all that energy from the living beings like the trees. So I just feel like they're in their leaves are their lungs. I mean, they're living and breathing beings, and they're with us as part of the existence on Earth. So
That's a beautiful answer. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, I really have a good time with doing tree meditations, and even their trunks are like so universal, right? The rings of time that they work with, and I see that you can go in there and travel through time with them. So really, really amazing energy with that. And you go to a place in the summers that is filled with all this too. You go to a very nature place where, yeah, and you also are doing Reiki now. We're both Reiki master teachers now, so that was so much fun to go through that together. And Richie was there, and a few other people, a lot of other people that are here maybe, or watch this later. So that was transformative as well for me. How about you?
oh, it was amazing, and this actually happened with the mediumship too. The first time that I tried it, so the first time I tried Reiki, they gave us what would happen, and I remember working with my partner, and I said, "What's They said you would feel sensations in your hand if there's irregularities or if there's energy changes, and so when I first worked with my first partner, I said, "What's going on with your knee?" After we were over, and she said, "Oh, I'm getting a knee replacement," and so I knew, like at that moment, like, okay, something's happening here, and I could feel the exchange for that. What was if I could share what happened with the first Reiki session at the end when we were finishing level 2, actually with the same partner, my mom started coming through, and actually I could see her as I was receiving the Reiki. I could see her hand. I felt her hands. I saw her as I did as a kid. I felt like she was there. I could feel her love. I could feel her presence at a really deep level. And then when it was over, my partner said, she asked how I was, and I said it was just amazing. And then she started telling me, she goes, "Well, I felt like somebody was behind me helping me give Reiki to you, and I felt like it was your mother." So she had picked up on that too. In fact, if I remember correctly, she even said her name. She got her name said to me, and so then at that moment I'm crying. So I realized that the power of Reiki is it's, we always say it's physical, mental, or spiritual healing, and
Yeah.
I feel like for me it really was in the spiritual sense of healing. Although I do have to say that when I've had a client come to me who has had relief from physical pain, that is really rewarding as well. So, yeah, I just the the power of energy and the energy force that's around us, and be able to tap into that, is just simply amazing. So, and that's why I went back to Sedona for the master level training. And I've had some great experiences doing Reiki over the last few months, and I just look forward to learning more healing methods, as well as trying to incorporate all these things that we're learning. So
Yeah, it's the attunements are really something too. I know a lot of you here are been doing quite a bit. Hi, Kathy. And it's kind of like we have these attunements that happen, and I know they're different for everybody, but that was such an amazing time. I had such amazing visions going through the attunements. What about you?
yeah, so um, I can speak to the one that was this last in June. It was basically, I saw my guides coming in. I felt like they were taking me, and Alan was there with me. So he accompanied me into this circle with my guides, and then they took me up to like a higher level. And everybody in that circle was, well, the vision I had was they were all in like white robes. And as we went into that circle, we had white robes on. So like we were being joined into the group. And so that vision, whether it's a metaphor or it is actually happening, either way, is really the experience that I had, because the attunements we had in Sedona, we had our Reiki attunement, we had a psychic attunement, we had a aura attunement, we might have had another one, and each one were just, it's like a centering. It's bringing you, there's so much noise in the world right now that if you can find time to find to center yourself, things can happen, and the connection can happen to spirit and to the greater beyond, as you want to call it. So I just felt like, yeah, that was an amazing experience. And everybody has their own experience. And then sometimes when you have the experience, you sit back and that really happened. Did that really, but it did happen. I felt that. It isn't just seeing it. It's actually like feeling it in your whole body. It's like when my mom came, I felt like she was like with me in as she was in life. Like I could feel the love. It wasn't just love in general. It was her love. So when you're in these, it's just an amazing experience. And I think doing this kind of work in some way, if I can help others experience that, especially in times of loss, if someone's lost somebody, if they can experience some of that, they see that the person isn't gone. They're just in another place.
Do you feel like they're so much more present on the other side than they were when they were here? As in, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. As in, that they're present in a way that you can feel their energy. Like their energy isn't, oh, I have to do the laundry and I have to go to work and I have to, it's like they just come in and you're like, wow, that's all of you.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, which many of the folks that do this work or had experiences, there's no judgment. It's unconditional love. They're not like keeping track of what you're doing. They're just being supportive. Although I did have one relative come through and made it clear to me. They said, make sure Tommy knows that it isn't just fee la la over here. Like we have jobs to do, like we have things to do over here. And so that's one thing I do ask in sessions. I'll say, what are you doing? And like with Alan, I feel like he's still working with people who have had suicide issues or abuse, chemical abuse, drug addiction. Like he's still doing that work, because when people transition, some people need that extra help. So they are continuing doing like a new life. So I also like to say this, we always say rest in peace. And I always like to say rest in life, because once someone passes, they're instantly in this new life, and they're continuing the work that they were doing before they came here. So I just feel like their presence is much bigger. And a lot of it's hilarious. I was with a friend last night, and I brought in her mother, her grandmother, and an aunt. And they were just sitting around the table laughing at her because she was asking questions about, little questions about her. And in the end, she realized that, oh yeah, I should think bigger about this or whatever. I mean, it was actually funny. It's not, people think of it as a serious, and it can be serious. It is really, you have to have some reverence about it, but it is funny. I mean, some of the things like Alan telling me, was I being too serious on my videos? He was like, what do you think? You think? I'm like, oh yeah, maybe that's the case. So yeah, they are. They come to you as you knew them, so you're able to connect with them. But also, I think what I hope to learn more is about what they're doing now, get a better idea of what's happening with them now, and what their experiences are. But yeah, they come. Like I said, I've had any relative that's passed or friend or that's passed has come to me. I've had an experience where the day before I had a practice session with a friend, I was smelling kerosene. Like, why am I smelling kerosene all over the place? And it turns out in the next day that my grandfather came through, and he used to clean like everything with kerosene. Like he even would put kerosene in his car wash. Like his whole garage smelled from kerosene. So he was actually showing me like, oh, you can use your smell. Like you have all these things that the way they can come to you. So when you experience something where there's a number appears, or a coin appears, or a feather, or you were thinking about them, people say, I wonder I wonder if they know I'm here. I'm like, as soon as you think about them, they know. And those little messages are ways for them to send messages. Like for me, I had a stereo turn on, kept turning on at night. I kept turning on at night. And I'm like, why is it turning on? And finally I looked at the time, and every time it turned on for at least 6 consecutive nights, it turned on at 11:19 every night. And I realized that they were telling me that they were at an event that we had in November of 2019, that it was my mom and my sister-in-law were telling me that they were at that event. That
Wow.
was the message. So it took me a long time to figure that out. I just didn't go, oh, that's what they meant. I didn't even know what was happening. I thought there was something wrong with the stereo.
Yeah, well, and ones are, a beautiful number, and 11, of course, is huge, but add a 9 to that. And I get a lot of 911s too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like a kind of 711s and 911s are like some of my sacred numbers, and the 22s and the 33s. But yeah, that's one reason why we do Meditation Tribe at 811. We used to do it at 711, and that was just too early. So
on my little logo, it's the clock that's in the logo is 1111.
I love that.
And that's for my mother-in-law. That number comes to us when we know she's around. And so, and I know she's here right now. I know that the whole family is around.
You got a big group back there, definitely. And Alan keeps saying, yes, girl, yes, girl. And so he's so cute. I love him. So there was a funny thing that you talked about was on April 1st, an awakening part that happened. And that's funny because my stepmom, who I helped while she was transitioning, anyway, she passed on April 1st, which was pretty funny because she had a very dry sense of humor, but she really was wicked with it. It was just, she was great. Somebody that you never would have thought would come out with that. She was a sweet, elderly Midwestern matron. And here she is just whoop, and you're like, oh my God. So April 1st was like just her way of like saying, ha ha, gotcha again. Anyway, Kim, you get a lot of 711 too. Yeah, right? So during your recovery from foot surgery, you spent a lot of time on YouTube. Was that helpful?
It was. And I was thinking about this, years ago, if we wanted to, I would always go to the bookstore when we had bookstores, and I would sit in the esoterica section, and look at a book. And then I would buy one book, make sure the copyright was new, so it was something new. But, it took a long time to get information. Like you would read a book and then, so I literally was sitting in the living room, and I said, Psychics 2024. I said, I didn't know what YouTube was. I just said, let me see what, and that's when all these people started showing up. Violetta was the first one, and Linda and Kevin and Kevin, Loving Vibrations, Kevin Lewis, Val. Then I had an Akashic reading with Val. that was really insightful. Sterling, there's so many of them, but I took a lot from each of them and learned a little bit from all of them. And the one thing that I did learn from one of the psychics is journaling. So I was getting all these thoughts that were happening to me, and I decided to start journaling on a regular basis last June, and to ask one question for 21 days. So I did, and I have to give Sterling credit for that, because that was one of his suggestions. And when I think about what I wrote, and I remember, I look back, I wrote, how do I become a psychic medium to help people? And when I wrote it, I go, that ain't going to happen. Like, why am I even writing this? And then as I look back on what I was getting, it was just basically the first thoughts were coming in my mind. And now I don't even ask questions when I do the journaling. I just say, what do you have to tell me today? And usually I get a message for myself. And then sometimes I get a message that I can share. And sometimes they're lined up, but yeah, that connection, the messaging I get has really helped. And all this was from various people. And I know I gave you a list of some of the people that I watched, and I don't want to leave anybody off, but everybody's been very helpful. And I think that having a community like this is, everyone brings something else to the table, and everybody has something to offer. And it's right there in your living room. And for those of us that had to work before the internet and go to the bookstore, it was like, it took forever to learn something, right? I mean, and now it's, you just, oh, I want to learn about tree people. I'm going to talk to Teri, or I'm going to watch Teri's show, or I'm going to connect with, I would like to learn about connecting to animals. So I'm going to watch Debbie's Freebird Spirit show.
Yeah.
With,
Mark.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I started watching Mark, Spirit Whisperer, mainly because of some of the performances that he does, which I used to do as well, and Alan and I did. So I enjoy. There's just so many people out there that you can watch it, and then as you get to know these people, like I went to Mel's event in Chicago. I got to meet Kevin Loving, Kevin Medium, Kevin Lewis, Kim Copeland, Linda G, and Mel, of course. And then I went to Sedona. We've already talked about that. So I've gotten to meet a lot of people in person as well. And I wouldn't have known about these events if it wasn't for all these channels. So I just think it's a gift. I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, I remember during the pandemic, I was already studying with Deepak Chopra, and had been through the School of Metaphysics and stuff when I was quite young. But like you said, you'd have to travel and to meet people and go to retreats and things like that. And some of the stuff was online, but it was a little bit harder to find. And then once the pandemic hit, and it was so sad for so many people, but for a lot of us, it was a moment, like a lot of times when we have a sadness or grief episode or something that comes in, or a shadow event, the light really shines through. And it was such a transformative experience, I felt, which with all these teachers online, everywhere. I mean, Deepak, Eckhart, everybody was out there doing everything, and so many people waking up too and getting their own channels. And now it's even more people waking up and getting their own channels. And like I said, the people like you that are coming into it just for a couple of years now, it's like, boom, you're on it. You're on your path.
Yeah, I was thinking, actually, when I was thinking about, we were talking about doing the show, I started getting a message, and then I went, oh my God, why didn't I think about this? So Alan, when he was performing, used to do a song called Orange Colored Sky. And in the lyric, it says, I was walking along, minding my business, and then flash, bam, alakazam. And that's literally how it happened to me. And then when I was writing it, I could hear Alan go, you just thought of that now? Like, why didn't you think about that earlier? But that's literally, and that's, I think, one of the things that I feel I can, as people awaken, and more people are going to be getting connected, and connected with the other side and discovering all these things, they're not going to be able to go to their traditional people they can talk to. And someone like myself and a lot of us that maybe has come to us later in life or at different times, I think we can help them a little bit. Say there's nothing weird that's happening here. And really a lot of that's happened even in the weekends we've had, even the Sedona events, because people have come because they've, like, say they lost somebody, a family member, and they don't know how to deal with it. And as they get connected to other people, they realize, oh, you mean those messages that I'm hearing, that's actually my son, or it's my, my spouse or whatever. Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah,
So,
those pennies and my husband, when he passed, he'd leave little black pieces of cloth all around the house. And every once in a while I still see them around the house. And it's funny. It's like, that it has something to do with them. It kind of clicks after a while, but it takes a minute. Right. Also this, perspective on this day and age is so accessible. My mom was into metaphysics, so I was really lucky growing up, and I was exposed to it quite young. But I still rebelled against it. You're going to rebel against something, right? When you're a teenager. So I was like, oh no, I'm not going to use my mantra anymore, which was kind of funny. But yeah, so it's interesting how all this happened after you also cleaned up your body and got all your energy centers really shining, and I think that's amazing.
yeah, and it's the thing though, when it happened, it was a lot. In fact, I had people have told me that a lot of people, they wouldn't be able to handle it. Like, it was so much coming in so quickly. But I did, the whole time I knew that I wasn't, like, losing it. I wasn't like, I always joke that I've always been a little bit, crazy at times, so to speak, but I wasn't, seriously, like, I wasn't, like, I was really being connected. And you were talking about your mom. So my mom used to say to me, "Oh, you're so sensitive. Why are you so sensitive? You're so sensitive." And I feel like, and I know this, that she didn't know what, because of just the way things were and how we were brought up. It wouldn't have come up back then, but she is now doing the work with me now that she couldn't do over there. And the other thing that I feel is important to share is that what I learned is that we actually are helping them. So by us, like with myself working with Alan and my mom and then my grandmother as well, that they are learning. I always call them their guides in training. I don't know if that's true or not. I just made it up, but they're like learning how to work, in a way, with us. And so with my mom, I mean, she's come into Reiki sessions where she's helped things. Yeah, she's helped me out in so many ways. And she always had a big laugh, and I can hear her laughing. It's just, I don't know. It's wonderful to know that they're around and you can connect to them. So
It's so comforting, isn't it? One of my mom's good friends was a medium, or she was an intuitive too, but Mary Starr, and Mary shined. I mean, you'd see her, and she had white hair and white skin, and she'd always wear like something scarlet or bright blue, and she came up to me at my mom's funeral, and she said, "Honey, your mom just came to me, and she said, you're going to feel her hand on the small of your back, and that's her giving you a hug." And I do to this day. And I'm so grateful. I get teary eyed here. I'm so grateful to her for giving me that message at that time, because I still feel her hugging me in the morning.
Can I ask you, Teri, have you had experiences at funerals? Like,
Oh my God. Yes.
yeah,
I mean, some of them are so funny. Like, I know that they come in and they're cracking jokes through the funeral. And that you've got to keep a straight face, and you got to be, respectful and compassionate for everybody there. But they're just saying the funniest things. And especially if it's somebody that you know quite well, the family that's there, and they're not ready to hear anything. So,
right.
we just hold it in. How about you?
Yeah, like I don't want to say too much because, you know, people might know who I'm talking about, but yeah, I've had those experiences. One time, the one experience, I almost like I had to like stop laughing because it was so funny what I heard.
Right.
I heard also a message that I had to give to the family, which I didn't know how I was going to do it. And I heard like, well, you're always good at figuring things out. And I did. I figured out a way to get the message. But they didn't know that where it came from. But, you know, I got the message across and I felt better about that. I was like, why are you telling me? Why do you have to tell me this right now? Why, you know,
Right.
but I figured out a way to do it. And yeah, so there's been that happens as well. And which is surprising because I think sometimes you wonder how quickly when someone passes, how quickly they can connect. And I think it just depends on the energy of the person.
Yeah.
But they can. I think in some cases they can connect very very quickly.
Yeah.
Well,
When my mom was dying, I had an apartment just a few blocks away from the hospital, and that's where she'd go for her treatments, and it connected something, and at that time, the entities as they were leaving their bodies would come to my apartment, and I'd see all these light beings coming through all the time, and so I'd call in. At the time, I wasn't dealing a lot with the Vedas, so I was calling in Jesus, Yeshua, Saint Michael, and Saint Patrick, and they'd come in as orbs and fly away with them, and they'd go with them. But there were always a few that didn't want to leave; they wanted to stay on Earth, and I always had to say, "Okay, you got to you can go anywhere you want to go, but you can't stay here." So that's that.
I actually had that experience in a Reiki session with a client who was really attached to a loved one. And what actually happened was my mother came into it and helped that person. I think they already had transitioned, but they were coming back, to the earth, so to speak. And they were like, she was saying, well, who's going to take care of the client that was there? And they said, well, no, Tommy's going to do that. I'm going to take care of you. And it was the most beautiful experience. So that's what I mean. Like my mom has been helping me in some of the work. Yeah, it was amazing. And there were things that happened afterwards that verified that happened. So there was more peace.
Yeah.
There's more peace in the situation. So, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't always, when I do a Reiki session, I always kind of gauge the person and whether they're into more. I say, well, this is what Reiki's about. Now, are you open to anything else? And if they are, I'll say, well, I am a medium and I do get information. Are you? And it's funny because I think some people book the Reiki, but they want the reading.
Yeah. My Reiki's like that. It's more of a reading. Yeah.
So, but then sometimes people they really want both. They want to know if there's, and I'll tell them sometimes there isn't anything. Sometimes something doesn't come through. But in most cases, if somebody's open, something will come through. And it's not necessarily what they think will come through, but it's something that some lesson they need to know at that time. So whoever comes through has a message about that, that's going to help them. So.
Right. Because when we're working with the heart chakra, the throat chakra, I mean, all the chakras, and it's just your energy field, it has a lot to do with past trauma often. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, as that clears. So I want to talk, okay, we'll just talk about one more thing and then we'll get off, but getting off Facebook. You woke up one morning and somebody's screaming at you, get off Facebook.
So, as we all know, there's a lot of trying times right now. And I was getting so wrapped up in the news because I had just, I just knew something was going to happen. I knew something. The reason why we had an event in November of 2019 was because I knew I didn't know what was going to happen, but something did happen. So that's why we had our event in that time. So the message about getting off Facebook was, stop being attached to all this stuff. There's something greater. And so I literally I jumped out of bed and I heard, get off Facebook, get off Facebook. It was 5:30 in the morning. I came downstairs. I went on my computer and I deactivated. I had 2 accounts. You're not supposed to have 2 accounts, but I did. I only have 1 now. But anyway, I deactivated my accounts, and it was the best thing I did.
Yeah.
And whenever I feel like I'm getting back wrapped into that world, sometimes whoa, Tom, you're on the screen too much. You're watching too much of the news. I mean, you have to be aware of what's going on because there is a lot of happening. And I feel like we can help affect some of that in a positive way, but you can't let it run your life. And by getting myself out of those thoughts, it allowed for all this other stuff coming in, because literally that day is when I got messages from family members that have proven that those things came true. The next day, Alan came in his dramatic fashion. The next day is when I was told to take pictures and take them out back. And I had this whole display of pictures and things. And I was like, oh my God, it looks like an altar. And I heard someone go, duh. And I heard all this laughter. And that was my in-laws when they came around me. And then there was the next night when they came to visit us. So by getting off that sort of world, you allow yourself to be open and, again, be present. You have to be present. If you're always worrying about the next thing that's going to happen, you're in a fear state and you're in a state of resistance. So you can't receive. So nothing wrong with Facebook. I love it because I've lived in different places. I can connect with people. But if your life's always looking down, you're never looking around to see what's actually there. So,
Yeah.
or it's maybe around you that you don't even see that's there, that you can sense in a different way. So
it's so interesting, all the calamities that happened with Facebook. My family certainly did, big Catholic family, and became very divisive. I never knew that a lot of them were very right wing, and they never knew that we were so left wing. And so that was weird that happened. And then right after that, the COVID, the pandemic that happened, and how all that energy came up. And I like how you talk about the fear, because I feel like once we go into fight or flight, we're no longer in a sense of being present or awakened. And you go into that inertia, that frozen state. And you're just kind of sitting there waiting with your eyes wide open, like a deer in the headlights. So yeah, the universe lets us know what we need. And now in particular, we're really going into a time of interesting energy with AI and all the changes that AI can make for us. But a lot of people are very fearful of it, rightly so, because it could easily be misused. But I feel like it's been misused in other lifetimes, the Egyptians and the Atlanteans and the Lemurians.
If I could share with you, I've actually incorporated AI into the mediumship work.
Nice. Tell me about that.
So I have been getting, I've always been into old Hollywood and old Broadway. And so there's a few people that I know a lot of things about, like I think I would know a lot about. So I was getting information as I was like reaching out, and I was like, okay, who's here? And so when I realized who it was, then I said, okay, give me something that I don't know. And so what I did was I went on, the one person was Mae West.
I love her.
Who was very, very ahead of her time as far as LGBT rights. Just incredible. And those are the things I found out about. So I was, okay, tell me something about that I don't know about you. So in my mind's eye, I saw an oil field. Like, why are you showing me an oil field? So I went on ChatGPT. I said, did Mae West ever make a joke about oil fields or something like that? Comes up, no, but in 1935, she made a movie about winning land in Oklahoma that had an oil mine on it, oil field, and she became rich. And I could tell you like 10 more examples like that of things that came through. So Mae West, and then I'm a big fan of Ethel Merman. So I got a message from her where she showed me these bright, shiny teeth and sparkling. They were like super clean. And I thought I knew everything about her. And I got that she actually used to brush her teeth a lot. It was a big thing. In fact, she would say, you have to brush your teeth like you're singing at the palace. I didn't know that about her. And so there was many things that came through like that. So it seems like the old stars want to be on stage again.
Yeah. Yeah. They're bright, man. It's just amazing. Well, I'd love to have you back on again to do some mediumship together.
Oh, that'd be great.
So yeah, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. So thank you everybody so much for being here. And thank you, Tom, for sharing this space with us. So it was really lovely. And what do you have coming up next?
So I'll be going to the UK till middle of October. And I'm now working, trying to set up my studio at home now for Reiki, as well as working with another location in Philadelphia where I live to do some in-person sessions. And I'm going to be working on, I'm really excited about this forensics mediumship class that I'm taking with Kevin Lewis.
Yeah, definitely.
I really feel like there's something there for me to work with, issues that are related to missing people. So I'm hoping that'll be, I'm sure it'll be very helpful. So that's coming up, and then more mediumship work. And I want to give a shout out to my mediumship friends in our group that we've gotten close to over the last year. So we meet on a regular basis, and some of us know all of each other's families that have passed. But thank you to all of them, because and everybody that's been around has been great. And Teri, thank you so much for this.
Yeah.
It's great to be on your show, and I'm on with you most mornings. I won't be on when I'm in UK, but
no.
So thank you.
Yeah, you'll be busy. All right. Well, thanks for being here, dear, and we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you.